So I'm the sort of person with so many interests, so many goals that I want to achieve, but because of things like procrastination, indecision, it's been really hard to be able to get to all the goals that I want to do. I have business goals to work on my business, exercise goals, fitness goals, um, learning languages, improving my skills at chess. So sometimes it just gets really hard due to indecision, procrastination, and other things. I end up neglecting so many of the goals for several days, maybe even weeks. But over time I was able to develop a system. It's a pretty simple system, but it's been pretty effective for me. Now I've been able to not neglect any, I've been able to manage all of my interests. I can now get to do all of my interests without so much procrastination, without being so indecisive. And I see myself moving forward in all my goals. And that system is what I want to share with you in this video. So let's talk about the life cue method. The life cue method is a method that I've been using to finally be able to get to all my goals. No more procrastination. And how does it work? First, you write down all the goals you want to achieve, and then you group them into areas. The goal areas. What do I mean by goal areas? Your financial goals, your physical goals, your social goals, the different areas of your life where you have goals you want to achieve. You categorize them, and then every day you cycle through all the goal areas. For example, something that I could do, I could spend 15 minutes exercising, doing my cardio workouts, and then that's for the physical goal area. So I just completed the physical goal area, and then I take a break. I could take a 10-minute break, and then I move on to the next area, which could be financial. So I could work on my business for about an hour or more or less, and then I complete that and I move on to the next goal area, which could be, for example, cognitive. The cognitive goal area, which is where I try to challenge my cognitive abilities with, for example, learning languages or improving my skills at chess. So that's what I'm talking about. You move from one goal area to the other. You cycle through all the areas containing all the goals you want to achieve in life. You live in that way, you never neglect any goal. And you don't have to spend hours on any goal area. You can just spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You complete a task, no matter how small it seems to be. What matters is you're making progress. You completing the cycle. You're moving across every one of your goals. The reason this is so powerful is because it removes all indecision. You no longer have to decide what comes next. You can already see in the cycle that, hey, this is what comes next. So you're no longer stuck in the cycle of indecision. And indecision is one of the biggest causes of procrastination. When you don't know what to do, it's very easy to avoid doing anything altogether, or you might choose the easiest things to do, the most low effort things to do, and avoid what you really need to do. But when you have a cycle you've established, it's very clear that this is the next thing you need to do. It will be much easier for you to get yourself to do it. Even if you only get to spend about 5 minutes or 10 minutes, what matters is you're actually making progress. Because of course you're not gonna enjoy everything you do, but when you get yourself to spend just 5 or 10 minutes, you keep making progress, you keep moving forward towards your goals. You no longer keep things off for years. You say you start tomorrow or you start next week, but tomorrow never comes. It's because you never actually made a decision that this is when I'm going to do this. I'm gonna do this now. I'm gonna do this now. But with this life cue method, you now know exactly when you're going to do when you're going to work on a particular goal, because it's in the queue, it's in the cycle, because you're going to eventually cycle through all your goals. And this is much better than using shadows, for example. Shadows are very commonly prescribed in the self-help community, but the problem with shadows is that they're too rigid. It doesn't really match how life works. Okay, life is pretty unpredictable, and sometimes you just get tired, sometimes you want to take a break, you know. Shadows are not very flexible. But the life cue method, it's much more flexible than using shadows, because you just focus on what comes next. It's about what comes next. It's not about, do I do this at 11 a.m., do I do this at 3 p.m. It's about, let this is what comes next. I'm gonna spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes on this and move on to the next task. That's what makes this life cue method so much more powerful. And it's also more powerful than using to-do lists, because to-do lists are nice to be able to get to be able to understand all the things you need to do in a day. But the problem with them is they're usually not very organized across your goals, and there's usually no prioritization. They don't have any inherent prioritization, so you could still end up in the problem of being indecisive about what you need to do next. But with the life cue method, you always know that, hey, I need to work on my physical goals right now, but after now I'm going to have to work on my financial goals, and then I'm going to have to work on my social goals. Okay, you keep going through the cycle. You no longer have any indecision. It gives you the flexibility of a to-do list without the indecision, and without the rigidity of the scheduling method that many people like to recommend. So that's it for this video, guys. Let me know what you think about the life cue method. Is it something you think could be good for you? Let me know what method you're currently using to stay on top of your day and get things done.